What's up guys, Deer Hitter here, back with another Budget Beast video. If you want to clear T15 maps on a low gear budget of only 10 Exalts, this is the build for you. It's one of my favorite builds because it's so easy to use, it's really tanky, and everyone can afford it. Let's go. The build feels like cheating sometimes. You're rolling through the maps with a bunch of bodyguards around you. They're taking most of the damage, so you're super tanky, and all you really have to press is Flame Wall. Your Raging Spirits and the minions will do all the damage for you. Look at how I'm barely taking any damage in this crowd. The minions are just dominating. I was able to start doing T15s. You can do it at like level 70 or 71. Just move a little bit slower so that way you stay behind the minions and they can tank even more for you. Okay guys, starting off with the basics, we're going to be an Infernalist Witch. We stack life and energy shield for more survivability. Don't worry about armor, evasion, or block. We get max resistance. That's 75 or greater for fire, cold, lightning, and chaos. For stats, we get basically just enough to wear our gear. And then spirit is where we get our minions from. We stack spirit in order to get more minions. The more spirit you have, the more you can have out on the field. All right, let's get to the skills. Skeletal Warrior, that's the first one. We get Skeletal Warrior from a Rattling Scepter. As you see, the implicit is grant skill, level 18 Skeletal Warrior minion. Lower level scepters will give you a bit lower level Skeletal Warrior, but the key point is to just get Skeletal Warrior on it. We have Maim, Last Gasp, and Culling Strike. Summon Infernal Hound. That's a tanky minion that we get from our Ascension tree. It's the first one you take, Loyal Hellhounds. For Loyal Hellhounds or Infernal Hounds, we get Meat Shield and Fire Exposure. Next, we have Skeletal Sniper. Skeletal Sniper includes Fire Infusion and Bidding. I have two Skeletal Snipers. They look like that guy right there who's running around. It grants the ability to command Gas Arrow. So it looks just like this. It's a poison cloud that explodes if an ignited enemy touches it, and we ignite lots of enemies with Flame Wall. You don't even really need to use Gas Arrow, but I just like having extra stuff to do rather than just clicking Flame Wall the whole time. Makes me feel like I'm important. Okay, next we have Raging Spirit. Raging Spirit is a minion that doesn't have any life, but they get summoned when you use a fire skill. So for that, we'll use Flame Wall. You'll see those little minions. They're like the flaming skulls right there. For Raging Spirits, we have Feeding Frenzy, Fire Penetration, and Execute. Next, we have Flame Wall. Flame Wall has Fortress, Arcane Tempo, and Spell Cascade. Spell Cascade will give us 3 flame walls instead of 1, more area on the map, and you usually cast 2 of them at a time, so you can have 10 Raging Spirits rather. Next we have Pain Offering. It's a little spike in the ground. It looks something like this. Boom. That gives you an aura that grants your minions extra attack and cast speed. You'll see 30% increase as well as 51% more damage. So yeah, it's great to use on a boss. With that, we have Persistence and Magnified Effect. Next, we have Grim Feast, and Clarity. Clarity gives you extra mana regen while Grim Feast is active. It's pretty much always active. When you kill an enemy, Grim Feast drops a Grim Remnant, which is like a spirit-looking thing. You pick that up, and it recovers your energy shield. So if you get enough, you can have double your energy shield is what it caps at. So you'll see 4,342 out of 2,171. So we double our energy shield. Crazy survivability. Highly recommended. I have mine at a pretty high level, which requires 178 int. You can always lower the level if you don't want to get such a high int requirement. The only difference is you'll recover a little bit less energy shield per Grim Remnant that you pick up. 664 is actually overkill, so I'd probably recommend going quite a bit lower, and that way you don't have to get as much int, and you're still going to be running around at max the majority of the time. Next, we have Flammability with Heightened Curse and Inspiration. It looks like this. You put it underneath the boss to lower their fire resistance, and then all your fire skills will do more damage. After that, we have Shield Charge with Second Wind. That gives you the ability to cast Shield Charge twice, although your cooldown does go up, but you really only use it to boost around the map a little bit faster. It looks like this. It's up to you whether you want to use it or not. Skeletal Arsonist, that's going to be our main minion. That's where most of our damage comes from. As you can see right here, there's 7 of them compared to 2 clerics and 2 skeletal snipers. Martial Tempo, Scattershot, and Heft. And then Skeletal Cleric, who heals your minions with Minion Mastery, just to boost up the level again. You'll notice a common trend is these levels are pretty high. That comes from our gear. The higher level your minions are, the more damage they do. Okay, we're an Infernalist. So for Ascension, in order, we're going to get Hellhound first. That takes 20% of damage from hits, is taken from your Hellhound's life before you. It's a big reason why you're tanky, and you can't get it until you have this skill. So we'll get Loyal Hellhounds, and then Altered Flesh, and then Bite At's Will. After that, I only have 3 out of the 4 myself, but we'll get Bite At's Hand for extra energy shield. Each one of these reserves 25% of your life. So you'll notice down here, my life is actually 1200 out of 1600. So it'll get reduced again with Bite At's Hand, but we'll have more energy shield. Hey, for the skill tree, I've tested around a lot with this character. So mine isn't all the way refined. What I'll do is I'm going to put a link in the description. It's going to be to a max roll guide. If you go to the guide and you click skills, and you make it full screen, you'll be able to see at the top there's a drop down. You can select your level. So 70, 75, 80, and 85, you'll be able to select and see what skills you should have for each level. When you type in minion at the top, you'll see there's only a number of minion skills. So we primarily take things like minion damage, minion area of effect. We'll take minions revive 25% faster or 15% faster here. Those are really key. We get most of our minion damage from the skill tree. So definitely check out the max roll guide to have the most updated version. Now, when it comes to jewels, you can see I don't even have mine capped out. Minion damage and max energy shield is really good. These two, like elemental res for minions and damage penetrates cold res, those are just throwaways. I have not perfected the jewels, but you don't need to spend a lot to get extra damage or energy shield. Gear talk, gear segment. This is my favorite part of the build. It's so cheap. I only paid 1 Exalt per piece of gear. So I'm going to go over each item and the key stats that you need on each one. However, don't search for my exact item. You're not going to find the exact same one. There's so many variables. So for example, my boots have 40 cold res on it. Maybe yours will have 20 and you have to make up for the cold res elsewhere. It's just be flexible and you'll find exactly what you need. Okay, before you search for gear, make sure that you know your level and the attributes that you have. We want to make sure that we search within our requirements. So first things first, we're going to go Rattling Scepter. Not just any scepter, Rattling. Rattling gives you Skeletal Warrior Minion. If you're a lower level, you may have a level 17. 16 is fine. I'd shoot for 17 or 18. Next, we want level to all minion skills. You want a minimum of 3, hopefully 4. And then allies in your presence deal increased damage. Or you could have increased to spirit, which is another prefix that you can get on Rattling Scepter. Instead of extra damage, spirit will allow you to get more minions, which will in turn increase your spirit. So on the trade website, I'll put a link in the description to the official PoE2 trade website. Here's what the website looks like. We're going to come down here and search Rattling Scepter. And then remember requirements. If you're only level 70, you can go max 70. Down here under buyout price, Exalted, maximum 1. Up here, to add a stat filter, you just type it in. So you'll get minion skills. Put these 3 on here. Start off searching for 4 minion skills, and then give it a shot to search for both allies, increase damage and increase spirit. Probably not going to happen. When you search it, no results found. So what I would do is click this check mark right here. That gets rid of the increased damage. So now we're searching for minion skills and increased spirit for 1 Exalt. Boom, there's 3 results. In turn, if you're looking for the increased damage instead, check that and get rid of increased spirit. And now 3 more results. Look at this one, Grant skill, level 14 Skeletal Warrior Minion. You'd rather get the 17, but you know, just get what you can afford. You can always upgrade later. It is so cheap. Next, we're gonna get Oaksworn. It's a unique shield and it has 50 to spirit. And then it has Chaos Res, Block Chance, and Increase Armor and Energy Shield. Just get the best one that you can find. So we'll come to the trade website up here. Search Oaksworn. Let's see. Exalted Orb, max 1. Let's go Rune Sockets, minimum 1. Search that. 131 matched. So here's a key trick if you want to try and find the best one out of there. See this little magnifying glass down there? Click that. It'll bring up all the stats that the shield has. So like the spirit doesn't change, but maybe you want to go Chaos Res. Let's go minimum 20. Block Chance, that's out of 60. So we can go like 55 and then search. Now you have 4 results. So you can find the best one out of that. Okay, now for the helmet, we got +2 to minion skills. Max life or max mana is good. Get energy shield and whatever resistances you can find. On the trade website, I went helmet. Minimum, like, just go like 70 energy shield. Exalted Orb 1. +2 to minion skills. And then under here, you can add stat group weighted sum, like I did right here. And then I added fire, lightning, cold, and chaos. Give each one a weight of 1 and go like minimum 40. So this means there needs to be a combination of a total of 40 res on your helmet. That could be 40 fire, just flat, or it could be 20 fire, 20 lightning, or any sort of combination. I would go weighted sum for all of the pieces of equipment, and especially when you're starting off. And then when you need specific ones, like, you know, if you're capped on lightning, you can click that, get rid of it, and now you'll just search fire and just search cold and adjust this accordingly to what you need. You can obviously start off a little more loose in the beginning, and then as you're gearing up, there's going to be specific res that you need. We'll search that. We have 3 results. So like 42 lightning res, 2 to minion, a good amount of energy shield. 27 int is good because int is required for our robe, which I'll get to in a second. Just remember that there's certain pieces of gear that you can't get res on, like the scepter and the shield, although you could socket the shield and get res. But for the rest of it, I would do the weighted sum. Now, let's go to the robe. So the robe, we want high energy shield. We want spirits on it because spirit, again, gives us more minions. And then res. Here's what I would search on the site. Body armor, energy shield 250, 1 exalt, 50 spirit, and keep the weighted sum on there. A lot of people probably search for 50 minimum. So like if you do 45, you might have more results. But the higher spirit you can get, the better. And you can always adjust the weighted sum if there's not a lot of results. If I search this, there's 6 of them. So just pick any one of them. Now that you know how to search, I'll just go over the rest of the gear. So for rings, I like to go prismatic. When you search prismatic, the reason why is because it has the implicit of all elemental res, and it really helped me hit the cap. Just remember when you go up to search items, you just type in prismatic and then go from there. So all elemental res, life and mana is good. You can see this one stacked up with a lot of res, similar to the other one. Res, 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 and increased mana regen is really nice to have. So there's a few pieces of gear. If you can slide in mana regen, that'll definitely benefit you. The gloves, chaos res, some rarity, mana, life, and that'll be energy shield as well. For the plated belt, or whatever belt, just get resistances. You can usually get 3 res on there with a minimum of like 20 each. So right now I have fire, lightning, and chaos. For the boots, you want to get energy shield again. Search increase movement speed, resistance, and if you can get some intelligence on there, that's nice because the robe or the body armor has a 157 int as a minimum requirement. For the amulet, it doesn't matter which one you get, just make sure you have +3 to all minion skills. You could do +2, but +3 is better. Mana regen, resistances, int, and increased energy shield are all really good. For charms, I always get the thawing charm. I hate getting frozen, so on all my builds I have a thawing charm. Just get whatever for life flask and mana flask, the best that you can get. Some good ones, which I don't have, is like the 0.25 charges per second or 0.2 charges per second.